Hey everybody, it's the History Teacher. In this episode, we'll look at the 5 reasons for the fall of the Roman Empire. The traditional date for the collapse of the Roman Empire is the year AD 476, and there are good reasons to use that year. But the Roman Empire didn't suddenly disappear in that one year. The process of Roman decline took place over centuries, beginning in the 3rd century. And many aspects of the Roman Empire continued well after the year 476. For example, the Roman Senate continued to convene into the 6th century. Perhaps most significantly, the Roman Empire in the Eastern Mediterranean, based in Constantinople and referred to as the Byzantine Empire, would thrive throughout most of the Middle Ages and not end until 1453. In that sense, the Roman Empire lasted another 1,000 years after its supposed fall in the West. But in the year 476, the last Roman emperor in the West, the young boy Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by a Germanic military leader. So, we use that event in that year to mark the end of the Roman Empire, even though it's not entirely accurate. So, what happened? Historians have debated for centuries about that question. As with much of history, there is no right answer. But let's look at 5 causes on which most historians can agree. First, invasion by Germanic tribes, otherwise known as barbarians. A fierce tribe of nomadic warriors from Asia called the Huns pushed westward into Europe around the year AD 400, led by their leader Attila. The Germanic tribes that were in the path of the Huns sought protection from the Roman Empire. Rome permitted some tribes to settle within the borders of the empire. In those tense times, conflicts soon erupted between Roman authorities and tribal leaders. Consequently, Rome was sacked by one of these tribes, the Visigoths, in the year 410, then attacked by another tribe, the Vandals, in 455. Only 20 years later is when Romulus Augustulus was deposed as the last Roman emperor. The settlement of Germanic tribes within the borders of the Roman Empire created social and political turbulence which contributed to the empire's decline. Second, economic weakness. The Roman Empire was almost constantly at war somewhere, and wars are expensive. Rome taxed its residents to pay for the military, but eventually the taxes became so high that wealthy Romans packed up and moved beyond the reach of tax collectors. That left the tax burden on the poorer people who couldn't move. But not enough taxes could be collected from them to pay for Rome's wars and other government needs. Starved of money, the Roman economy deteriorated. Further, Roman trade on the Mediterranean became almost impossible after the Vandals began plundering Roman shipping at sea in the mid-5th century. Without taxes and trade to support them, Roman cities shrank. What had been the wealthy, strong Roman Empire had changed into a landscape of once grand but now decaying buildings populated by small, poor farmers. Third, the Roman military was overextended. The Roman Empire had stretched from the north of Britain all the way to the Middle East. Protecting its long borders required tens of thousands of well-trained, well-supplied, and well-paid troops. At the height of its power, the empire was able to station enough troops wherever it needed to in order to guard its borders and to fight its enemies. But, as noted, that changed when the money to pay these troops eventually disappeared as the economy crumbled. So, by the early 400s, Rome needed to move large numbers of troops from one place to the other in order to protect itself because there weren't enough troops to be everywhere at once. For example, in the year 410, Rome was unable to defend itself from the barbarian tribes invading Gaul, now France, without withdrawing all of its troops from Britain, effectively removing Britain from the empire. To fully protect itself from the many pressures on its borders, Roman troops would have needed to be practically everywhere at once. For a time, that had been possible. But less money meant fewer troops, and fewer troops resulted in the vulnerabilities that contributed to the empire's demise. Fourth, government corruption. The wealth and power of Rome bred corruption at all levels of government, and the problem worsened as time went on. By the 3rd century, the throne of the Roman Empire became the object of vicious and deadly competition among leaders of the military, influential families, and other factions. At one point, Rome had 20 emperors in a period of only 75 years, and practically all of them were eventually murdered. The Roman Senate could have tried to implement reforms, except that the senators were also unscrupulous. As a result, the people of the Roman Empire lost faith in the government and failed to support it. Even an absolute monarchy is weak without at least some support from the population. The widespread distrust of Roman institutions by its people hastened the empire's fall. Fifth, the rise of Christianity. Christians had been persecuted by Rome because Christians refused to sacrifice to Roman gods, which was considered treason. Despite Roman hostility, over the centuries Christianity spread throughout the empire. Emperor Constantine, out of gratefulness to the Christian god for an important military victory, legalized Christianity in the year 313. In the year 380, it became the official religion of the empire. Christianity is blamed for helping to cause the fall of the Roman Empire, but not because of its particular beliefs. Instead, the advance of Christianity meant the abandonment of the ancient Roman gods, which represented Rome itself. The widespread conversion to Christianity, therefore, was also a mass repudiation of age-old Roman civic values. Civic values, that is, the core beliefs people have about their nation, are part of the glue that holds any society together. Roman religion helped to bind the people to the state. The Roman emperor was worshipped as a god. Christianity changed everything so that people worshipped not the emperor, but a mysterious Jewish man who had been crucified as a traitor and as a religious heretic named Jesus. The Roman Empire lasted for about 500 years, which is a remarkable accomplishment. It was perhaps inevitable that, given its size, complexity, and diversity, it couldn't last forever. Still, for perspective, the United States won't have matched the longevity of the Roman Empire until the year 2276. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.